guys, I am a realtor here in Tampa Bay, and today I wanted to share my secrets with you on how to host a successful open house. So when I was starting real estate in my second year of real estate, I sold over 18 deals directly from open houses, and it kept going up from there. I ended up really capitalizing on open houses up until COVID, and that's when I pivoted to social media. Now I get all of my business from either social media or past clients, many of them from open houses. So today I wanted to share all of my secrets and strategies so that you can utilize them in order to meet clients as well. So let's get started. Open houses are a huge tool if you do them correctly. So if you don't know this, there's a NAR statistic out that over 50% of buyers go to at least one open house. And what I found is that during open houses, these are usually people who are kind of testing the market, checking to see what's out there. They're not quite ready to buy yet. So most likely they don't have a realtor and they're not pre-approved. So this is the best kind of lead you can get because they haven't even started talking to anybody yet. They haven't interviewed agents yet. So it's the easiest to lock these kind of leads in. And that's why I loved open houses. And I think that they're a great tool. So as I mentioned before, I closed over 18 deals in my first year of real estate from open houses alone. I don't have a very aggressive strategy, and I am not a huge salesy person. I'm not pushy. And what I love about open houses is that it's very attraction market based, but the key is still in the follow-up and in the conversion and what you do leading up to the open house, during the open house, and after the open house. So we're going to cover all of that today. The other thing I wanted to note is that you can also meet buyers and sellers. A lot of the visitors will end up kind of scouting people out. And if they see your name pop up in the neighborhood often, if they see you out and about constantly doing open houses, they will assume that those are your listings. They will see that you're knowledgeable, see that you're hustling. And when they go to sell, they're going to want to work with somebody who's an expert in the area, who puts in a lot of effort, and you'll get seller leads as well. So I wanted to talk about picking the open house. That's one of the most important things. So my first year, I did not do a lot of deals from open houses, and it's because I didn't have a good strategy on picking the open house. I would just do any open house out there. It didn't really align with my ideal client, and I didn't have good results because of it. So it's very important to know who your ideal client is and where your ideal neighborhood is, and kind of try to stick to that area. And obviously you can do other areas too, but make sure whoever's going to those other area open houses are still your ideal client. So my recommendation is first-time buyers do tend to be the easiest people to meet at open houses. So if you kind of stick to a budget, the first-time home buyer budget, if you're in Tampa, the under 700 price range is typically first-time buyers. Sometimes they're higher up than that. But those are usually the easiest to convert because they typically don't have a realtor. They don't know the process, so you can educate them, really set yourself apart as an expert. You can connect them to a lender, and they're just a lot more forthcoming with their needs and with working with somebody that they meet at an open house. So I want you to kind of sit back and think about where your ideal client is looking to live, who your ideal client is, and narrow down a few neighborhoods and try to focus on doing open houses in those neighborhoods. And that way you can get to be an expert on those neighborhoods. You don't have to live there. I ended up focusing a lot on the Seminole Heights neighborhood in Tampa when I was starting, because that's where I found myself eating out at restaurants, where I was hanging out. I would go to the coffee shops. I would go to the shopping that they have there. And it was close to downtown. There was a lot of first-time buyers. I loved the character of the neighborhood. And that energy was seen by people who came in. You really have to love where you're doing open houses. Otherwise, your energy will be off. You won't be able to talk to the buyers in the same way. And you won't be able to really showcase the neighborhood and win those people over. So kind of just think about where you'd like to be. If you're not familiar with the neighborhoods, drive around. And it's honestly the best way that I learned Tampa Bay, because I'm not from Tampa. So by hosting open houses in different neighborhoods, I was able to narrow down where I truly wanted to highlight. And I got to know little secrets and little gems about the different neighborhoods, because the neighbors would come in and they would share things that wasn't public knowledge, like there was front porch parties, or they had like a golf cart parade in certain neighborhoods that I wouldn't know from like a quick Google search. But neighbors, I always gave attention to the neighbors as well. I didn't want them to feel like they were looky-loos, like a lot of people say. I really did value when neighbors came in, because that's your chance to really know like the gossip and the true details of the neighborhood. So definitely give everybody attention. And they also might be looking to sell in the future. So I definitely wouldn't write anybody off. So the next thing is picking the actual house. You want to pick a house that's been on the market less than 30 days. So obviously with this market, it's a little bit slower, but I would still try to find a house that's been on the market newer. It hasn't gotten as many open houses yet. And then pick one that's kind of near a main road, because signage really does matter, which we'll jump into next. But signage is so important. You will get so many more visitors that are just driving past a house if you have the proper signage. So make sure, So make sure that you have a ton of signs out there, and that will really help you get the traffic that you're looking for. And the less turns it is away from a main road, the more likely you will get just like random pop-by visitors. So people kind of get bored after making a ton of turns. So try to pick something that's close to a busy road and put a ton of signs out. So the best strategy, and these are all like my suggestions to have the most successful open house. Obviously, you might not have the time to do every single thing each open house, but I will suggest trying to do the signs at least a couple days before the open house. And what you can do is you can just get the generic ones from like Amazon or Home Depot and print out a piece of paper and just literally tape it to the sign that has the address, the date, and the time on it, and place it out a couple days ahead of time. This works because sometimes people are driving to work every day, but then they don't pass that neighborhood on the weekends, so it doesn't click for them that they want to visit this home. So you want to make sure that you're putting those open house signs out earlier, even if it's just a day or like 2 days before, and have them out if you can on the main road. That's the best option, but obviously sometimes depending on the road or the neighborhood, if it's an HOA neighborhood, they might not like signage placed out that early. So just kind of be mindful of that. But I would definitely try to put those out, or you can even do like the masking tape and physically like handwrite on there. And what I will suggest is that there's a bunch of like college students or just like people who might want to be an intern, who you could pay like a certain fee, like a flat fee, to go and do this for you if you would like. And they could just hold on to your signs and print out those sheets for you and place them and pick them up every single week if you don't have the time to do it. So I definitely would recommend looking into something like that. So next up is definitely share it everywhere you can. So we kind of covered like the physical bit, but I would definitely post it in local Facebook groups. There are different Facebook groups for different neighborhoods. Sometimes they're called like garage sale, like with your specific neighborhood, or there's even open house groups. But be mindful of the local rules on the Facebook group and make sure you're not breaking any of those rules when you are putting your advertisements. Sometimes they're very picky about that. But definitely post it in Facebook groups, post it on Instagram stories, post it in your Instagram feed, on TikTok. Go ahead of time to the property if you can, and even take a couple clips of the house and post it with the date and time that you're doing the open house. Or if you want to keep reusing that video, just put open house coming soon and then edit the caption here and there. And then I would say I have gotten deals from door knocking, inviting people to the open house, more than I got from any other kind of door knocking. And I used to try to do all the like Keller Williams methods, where I tried to do cold calling, I tried to do door knocking, but I got sellers and buyers from door knocking, inviting them to an open house. Some people, it was like they had to sell to buy, and I met them at open houses. So basically, door knock around 15 houses nearby and leave flyers inviting them to the open house, or a door hanger. So there's a website called Market Dwellings that sells really cute door hangers, and you can put the information on the open house there. They say things like you're invited, or they do like cutesy little plays on like seasonal little witty things. So you can get those. You can make your own flyers on Canva, but just have some kind of like physical paper or something to give to the person so they can reference it when you leave, and they can hang it on their fridge or something like that. So I definitely try to stick to around that 15 houses nearby, literally like walking up and down the street, and then get that whole street if you can. And obviously the more the better, but I would recommend doing at least a day before, but if you can do a couple of days before or even the morning of, then try to knock out a couple doors. And then one of the most important things is you want to be knowledgeable during the open house. So before the open house, learn about the neighborhood, learn about the listing, make sure you know what active listings are in the area, because I have had people come into my open house, but then they said like, oh, they needed an extra bedroom. And I literally showed them a house after the open house later on that week or later on that day. They went and got coffee, and then we met back up after my open house ended because I knew there was another listing that matched their criteria. And that particular client I'm thinking of now has closed 4 deals with me already in the last 8 years, and she's recommended me 2 of her friends. So you just never know. As long as you're knowledgeable about the street and the neighborhood, you might convert somebody very quickly just by being available to show them a house nearby. You also want to make sure you know like special restaurants or like little pocket parks in the area, because a lot of times people going to these open houses are new to the neighborhood, or they're moving and they've just been renting for a little while. So if you can give them like some little things to check out after, they will find that very valuable, especially if it's around like lunchtime or coffee time. You can tell them like, swing by this coffee shop on your way out, or this like antique store or something that gives them another task, because whenever they go and remember that coffee shop, they'll think of you and that you recommended it. So definitely be mindful about recommending them things in the area. And then the next thing is, I didn't go all out with what I would print. Obviously, you can do way more things depending on your budget, but I was doing it very budget friendly. It was something I was trying to do it as cheaply as possible, and it still worked. So don't be worried if you don't have a huge budget for these open houses. But I would just print out the MLS sheets. I'd print about 10 or 15. I would print out the sign-in sheet, which I can send to you. And then I would also make sure the open house is on the MLS and have my business cards. So one thing I wanted to say about the sign-in sheet is there is an app on the iPad called Open House Pro, and people can sign in on that iPad. But the reason I didn't find as much success with the iPad is because you want to ask at least a couple questions on the sign-in sheet: name, email, phone number, and when are you looking to move? And by the time they get to like the third question, they have fatigue of filling out this iPad. But when you have a sign-in sheet and you see, okay, like there's 4 boxes I need to fill out, they fill it out and handwrite a lot faster than they click through the iPad. And you're much more likely to get more information. They don't get annoyed with you. It can be a little bit trickier to read their handwriting, but at least they're having a more pleasant experience filling that out. And if they're walking around, just take a peek at the sign-in sheet. If you can't read something, ask them to clarify what the letter is, and that way they can adjust it if needed. And you might still get fake numbers or fake emails, but as long as you're like kind about it, usually they will sign in. And we'll talk about that in a moment as well. So during the open house, I would set up right before 10 to 15 open house signs if you can. Again, they don't have to be branded, although the branded ones do better, because the more people see your face in that area, the more they'll recognize you and they'll see you're out there, you're very knowledgeable. But I do know that some of us will have to be more mindful with the budget, so you can get very cheap ones from Amazon or Home Depot and just use those for now until you can do the branded ones. And I never got branded ones. So my whole business I've always done with like the cheap Amazon ones because they do get stolen, they get run over, whatever, and they still work great. And I will say that the ones that are most eye-catching are like the bright, ugly ones. And sometimes the branded ones are like too classy and too pretty that people's eyes, they don't catch people's eyes when they're driving down the road. So sometimes the uglier ones are better. But definitely put out at least 10 to 15 open house signs. Go out to the main road. Make sure you're doing 3 on each road at least, like in each direction. And then keep doing like 2 per turn. And then the more you do, the better. But I would definitely try to get both directions. And if there's like a median in the road, definitely put some in the median as well. And then I would recommend getting an open house flag on Amazon. I think they're about like $50 and they're really big, like the 10-foot ones, because they catch so many people's eyes. You can get balloons too, but then you'd have to constantly get balloons every single weekend. And that just, it ends up adding up cost wise. And it also takes time out of your day to go to Publix and like get the balloons. So the open house flag was my biggest sign. And I had a lot of neighbors come in and say like they loved my open house flag. I think it's called feather flag. And they said that like more realtors should do it. And I got a lot of compliments on these flags. So I would definitely recommend doing the open house flag. Whew, take a pause. And then for the sign-in sheet, I kind of mentioned earlier, but you want to ask them name, phone number, email. Are they working with a realtor? And when are you looking to move? And I usually had like little check boxes like 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months. And then I had them just check when are they looking to move. And that way I could kind of categorize who's a priority. And you can start talking to them about that as well. And when they would come into the open house, I would just say like, hello, like nice to meet you. Do you mind just like signing in, please? And if they gave you trouble, I would just say like the seller asked for it. And most people signed in. And if they don't sign in, like that's okay. Don't be pushy. People have preferences. And then by the end of it, you can kind of start talking to them and offer to send them other listings that are similar. And that's also when you can ask them to sign in again and be like, oh, did you leave your email there? But basically, once they signed in, I would give them like a quick spiel about the house, like just the main facts, like the bedrooms, the ages of like the roof and AC, things like that, any features to point out. And then I would kind of guide them in which direction to go, like, oh, like go this way, that's where the primary suite is. And then like upstairs, pay attention to something like the balcony. And then I would just let them roam around. And depending on how busy it is, I would kind of like here and there pop in, check in with them, ask them what they think about the house. Obviously, if you have more people coming through, just be there to greet everybody. And sometimes if you have a super busy one, maybe you can ask for a mortgage lender to join you and they can start helping you greet people as well. And then I would always give them the MLS sheet or flyer and my business card. You can also print out like an about me sheet or a moving checklist or something about the home buying process. Maybe there's different like loan programs that are special to unique to that neighborhood that you can bring with you. And just something like of value. It is great. You can also do like a QR code where they can scan and get that information. If you've won like any kind of awards, like put that out there, like lay it all out there. But I will say like the about me and the home buying process sheets did do well because a lot of agents don't end up doing that. And then obviously offer them food and drinks. I would recommend bringing at least like cookies and waters, and because a lot of people don't end up bringing anything, and I think it just leaves a better impression with people if they walk away with something that they got for free. But the biggest thing I would say is to give people space, let people take their time, and don't kind of bug them. And at the end of their tour, I would ask them what they thought about the house, and I would try to dig a little deeper, see like what they liked, didn't like about the house. And if they give you any specifics, you can kind of refer back to some other listings you might know and say like, oh, have you seen this house? Or are you looking in just this neighborhood? I know of another house in this other neighborhood. and kind of get them talking and really sharing what they're looking for. And then you can say like, oh, like you'll send them some more listings later on. You can ask them if they are working, or you can ask them if they are getting houses sent to them. That question tends to perform better than the direct question of, are you working with a realtor? Because if you ask somebody if they're getting houses sent to them, maybe they are working with a realtor, but it might not be a good one. Maybe that realtor didn't sign a BBA with them yet, the buyer agreement yet. Maybe they are like working, but they're not committed yet. So definitely ask if they're getting listings sent to them, because if they're not, chances are they don't have a realtor or the realtor's not good. And that's when you can kind of swoop in and hopefully win that client over. Obviously, I don't condone poaching clients. So if they have a buyer agreement signed already, then kind of leave them be. But if they don't, then that's when you can kind of offer your services. So this is arguably one of the most important parts, is the actual conversion and follow-up. So you can do everything. You can have 100 people come through your open house, but if you don't follow up correctly, then you are not going to land the client. So this is where a real strategy comes in. So I always set people up on an auto drip on MLS. Even if they don't tell you any criteria, you don't know anything about them, just set them up on an auto drip of a similar home that they came to look at. Within like 50 grand, 100 grand, within a couple hundred square foot of that house, just set them up on something generic like that. And then they'll at least get a constant email of houses being sent to them. They will be reminded of your name constantly. They will see that you put in effort, and it gives you a reason to reach out to them. So it is very vital that you do it the day of, because they're most likely going to multiple open houses. I would not wait till Monday. They might forget who you are. You have to do it as soon as you come home, or even at the open house if it's slower, but you need to do it that day. And right after you set them up on the MLS, send them a personalized video or a text message. Videos do perform a lot better because they'll remember your face, they'll see your energy, they'll appreciate the effort that you put into filming a personalized video with their name in it, and they will be very grateful for that and more likely to respond. If you don't have the time to do personalized video, you can just thank them for coming to your open house and do one video and send to everybody. But the personalized ones where you say their names do perform better. And then in the video or text, ask them if they got your email with houses. And that's very important to leave it as an open-ended question, because if you just thank them for coming, they're not going to respond. They might say thank you back, but most likely they'll ignore it because people get busy. People don't want to answer their texts anymore. So definitely ask them an open-ended question about whether they got your email with listings. And if they answer to you right then, that's perfect, and keep them talking. Ask them what they're if there's anything to adjust with their criteria, if there's any different neighborhoods they're looking in besides the one you guys met at, and then try to see if they'll jump on a call with you that following week. And also be like, I always advise people, say, are you free for a call in the next week or so, instead of like tomorrow or today, because that puts a lot of pressure on somebody. So definitely try to keep them talking. Ask them if they're working with a lender. Ask them if they've gotten a mortgage pre-approval yet, or if they know anything, if anyone's talked to them about mortgages yet. And then that'll help you as well, because then you'll have another person following up with them and hopefully converting them. So once you do that, I would follow up with them 3 days later and ask them if you need to adjust the criteria, if there's anything you need to change, and then follow up again a couple of days later, telling them about open houses coming in the area, or you can even tell them which open houses you'll be at to see if they want to stop by that one. So on the MLS, you can actually search and find out where the open houses are happening, so you can offer them that list. So if you go under the residential tab, if you go under the search tab, keep scrolling down to more, and there you can search open houses happening, and you can send them that list. You can create an email list with open houses coming soon, or you could just send a personalized list to everybody, depending on where they're looking. And then after that, follow up weekly. for the first 30 days, and then switch to bi-weekly for the next 30 days, and then switch to monthly. And I would recommend going into your MLS and adjusting the subject line periodically, like every couple months or so, and changing it to something different so that it grasps their attention again, because a lot of times people start seeing the same subject line over and over again, and then they start ignoring your email. And then you can also check on the MLS how often someone's looking at the MLS, what if they're an active user, and then really prioritize those people. Send them a personalized text with actual listings that you think they would like, and like just one listing, and ask them if they've like seen that come across before. So really personalized follow-up is like the best one, but you can have them set up on an email list too. So those are kind of like my main bread and butter ideas, but if you want to go above and beyond, you can also collaborate with other agents to do neighborhood-wide open houses. So basically get with a couple agents, really capitalize on doing a ton of signage and cross-promote each other's listings. It works a little bit better if you guys also do some kind of raffle. Get with the listing agent, see if the listing agent will contribute to it, and then split the cost of the raffle. You can even see if local businesses would sponsor it. And if everybody goes to each open house, you can initial this little like sheet of paper that you create, and then whoever goes to all open houses gets entered into the raffle and wins the prize. So I like that because you cross promote, you're all on each other's social media, you're all pushing each other's listings. And also a lot of times people don't go to all three, so you might not even have to raffle anything off. So that's just another option to kind of really promote it, and you can post it all over, you can invite neighbors to it. And then same with the local business idea, see if any local businesses want to collaborate on a post together on social media promoting it. Maybe they'll give you some kind of discount for their food. If people want to promote it, maybe they'll even give you coffees or empanadas or some little snack. And maybe they'll let you put flyers at their business to promote and give you flyers as well. And you can kind of push people back and forth to each other that way. And then lastly, you can do a neighbors only open house. So basically like an hour before the open house starts, have something special just for the neighbors, like mimosas or just like an extra little treat that you don't have publicly. And that makes the neighbors feel really special. It makes them remember you when they try to go to sell their house. Maybe they have a friend who's looking to buy in the area or a friend who's looking to sell. And it just kind of gives you another chance to talk to the neighbors and really bring people in and get some feedback on the neighborhood and what they think of the home and stuff like that. So the neighbors only pre-open house is a fun little strategy if you want to try that, especially if you're looking for listings. So from now until January 1st, on my listings, I am running a promotion. So if you host one of my open houses and somebody buys, even if they have a realtor, but somebody comes through the open house and buys that listing, then I am offering a $500 bonus. And if you are interested in hosting one of the open houses, definitely reach out to me. And obviously I offer buyer's agent commission too. So if that buyer doesn't have a real, I built my business up on open houses, but back in COVID, I ended up pivoting to social media. So over 50% of my business now comes from social media directly, and the rest is from past clients. So I also have a social crew membership, which is a group coaching community for realtors where we have 3 different group coaching calls every single month and a social media challenge. So the first week of every month, we have a social media group coaching call led by me. The second week, we have a hot seat coaching where we go back and forth, do Q&A, we go through specific situations, and we talk about a topic that the members vote on. So we have over 40 members now all across the country. So it's really awesome. We have a referral network as well. And I'm really excited to see everybody growing. People are already getting leads on Instagram and on social media, TikTok. So I'm really excited to see how everyone continues to grow throughout this year. The social media challenge is meant to implement everything we've learned that month in order to actually hold you guys accountable and start using the strategies that are taught. And the third week of every single month, we have a group expert coaching call where I bring in different agents from across the country who are crushing it on different avenues of social media. So next month we have Matt and Roland who are out in San Francisco. They do an amazing job at faceless home tours on TikTok. So you don't even have to have your face in the camera. They're more long form style videos, and they have over 500,000 followers combined. So I'm really excited to hear them talk. And the following month, we have Bill Olson, who does a really great job at green screen local news development content because that's not my forte. So I always want to bring in other experts because your content strategy might look different than mine. And I want to make sure that the members feel strongly about the kind of content they create because it does take work. So you want to actually enjoy what you're making. We also have constant feedback, a group chat section, private message section, and all the past classes are recorded. So you can always watch if you miss the classes. As soon as you sign up, you have access to all the past recordings as well, and you can always ask questions. So if you're curious about Social Crew, I only open the doors once a month. So for December, the doors are now open until December 1st, and they'll be open again at the end of December to start the new year. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about how to host an open house or how to convert a certain lead that you might have, feel free to message me on here. If you ever want to host any open houses in Tampa Bay, I always need help. So definitely message me and we can set something up. Thanks so much for being here, and I hope you have an awesome day.